Hello and welcome to round 5 coverage of Grand Prix Richmond. I'm Brian David Marshall. I'm joined in the booth by Eduardo Sajulik, and we are going to have a ringside seat here as Reid Duke tries to beat Yuya Watanabe in a Grixis control mirror. And we're going to get to see Reid's hand and really listen to him talk his way through this match and get some insight into how he navigates this complicated mirror.
Yeah, this is easier. Very grindy. We'll let the players go for it, but yeah, this is going to end up being extremely like a very grindy game.
So, turn 1 Thoughtseize from Reid Duke.
Okay, I take Brainstorm, 17, and go.
The Brainstorm with his opponent only having 1 land in hand.
Precisely.
We're going to try to get that hand cam adjusted. There you go.
16.
Searches up in Badlands.
Draw.
Trusty Baleful Strix.
Thank you.
Yuya Watanabe fetches up an Underground Sea.
Okay.
And Reid says yes to the Ponder. Instant shuffle there from Yuya Watanabe.
He's just looking for lands. That's what it boils down to in a lot of his control mirrors.
No deception here between these two just exemplary players.
10:30 sealed trial players, please find your way to your seats for your final round.
Really get a sense of all the ambient noise in the room from that microphone. You can hear all the announcements. You can hear, all the rumble of the crowd. Storm. Can't wait to shuffle away that fatal push, I assume.
Yeah, very low utility in a matchup like this.
He's 15. Delve everything. Yep.
Wow.
And go.
Turn 3 Gourmet Angler from Reid Duke.
Players at the 115 standard last chance trial. For round 2 pairings have been posted. Please find your seats so that we can begin. 115 last chance trial players. Your round 2 pairings have gone up.
You here probably considering whether to push or not in case he draws a Diabolic Edict for that angle.
Said, low utility, so get some utility out of it there, right? So he did have a Lily on his last open hand too. That's also what he was thinking about.
Sure.
have not yet made your way to your table, please do so at this time.
And for those unsure, that Pyroblast is indeed main deck. It's a call, probably for Yuya, for a field full of blue players in the top tier.
Again, you have a lot of ability to manipulate draws, brainstorm, shuffle stuff away when it's dead.
Missing a land here is very hard, though. It's going to put Yuya in a tough position, especially if Grammagular in front of you.
Wow, has to just pass the turn.
Sati.
Oh, there's Jace, the Mind Sculptor from Reid Duke.
Brainstorm. Go.
There's Baleful Strix.
Sure.
Still no land.
Brainstorm.
That again for Reid Duke.
Attention players, team 215, last chance trial. Your variants are now being posted at team green, gathering point banner. 215, last chance trial players, your variants are being posted at team green.
2 damage in return.
He's going to play Colton's Command and return his other Baleful Strix.
Go.
Reid is winning on all fronts. Board, mana, soon cards with the brainstorms. Very likely we're going to move on to game 2 soon.
Okay.
Another Baleful Strix. Discard to hand size here.
Looks like it's...
Yeah, no land for Yuya Watanabe.
Discard.
And discards a Fatal Push.
Brainstorm.
You saw Reid Duke kept that Fatal Push on top of his deck, did not immediately shuffle it away, and now has
Sideboard
access
Edict.
to that, but he's going to just run the Edict here. Gets in for
Draw.
5. Plays the Baleful Strix. 2 fetch
Go.
lands at the ready.
Sure. Sorry about that one.
Sorry about what that one, says Reid Duke, as they go for their sideboards. Wow, we'll see if we can Reid happened to record a little sideboard video about the mirror match. I expect that he did and was pretty much prepared for this matchup. So let's see. We'll see what happens there as these guys. You see Yuya Watanabe consulting his sideboard notes.
Yeah, the main difference between Reid and Yuya's decks, while they're very similar, Yuya does have access to the card Back to Basics in the sideboard, and that could be a trump card in the matchup since it's very good against the control decks. Yuya also plays 2 more basic lands than Reid, so the most interesting part of these post-board games will be, can Yuya kind of catch Reid out there? Yuya also has access to a Dreadboard, which is a very interesting card in a matchup like this where Jace is so dominant that you need a very clean answer, as is Liliana the Last Hope. So being able to, for 2 mana, deal with either card very cleanly is great, and once you have that card in your graveyard you can Snapcaster it a little later. So even though it's 1 copy between Ponder, Brainstorm, we are likely to see it, and it will probably have a very high impact.
How do you like the Nile Spellbomb in these Snapcaster mirror matches?
It's
something that's an option for Yu Watanabe here.
for sure. Essentially, it's just a good value card. You can play it for very little, one mana, and you can use it later down the line. You don't have to use it right away. The fact that it cycles is really critical, and why the reason why you would play Nihil Spellbomb over something like another Surgical Extraction, which is more common in the way Reid is playing the sideboard. There's free Surgicals. Reid wants to beat these Reanimator decks, while Yuya decided to only play one Surgical, which won't come in this matchup because it is card disadvantage. But the Nihil Spellbomb is great to maintain card parity. Essentially, you get rid of the graveyard, but you're not losing a card in the process, so it's really good for matchups like this, where the graveyard may matter, but over the course of a long game, you don't want to be down a card.
Yeah, I mean, this is, the very essence. We didn't really see it in game one, but really the essence of a grindy matchup where you're just trying to get these small card advantages over your opponent on every transaction.
Exactly. Both players probably looking to get rid of cards that are going to be low impact. Force of Will is not great in the mirror, since again you're losing a card in the process. So they'll prefer to board in cards like Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast. Reid goes as far as to board in Hydroblast, essentially as an answer to Pyroblast. And then you board in the extra Planeswalker. Reid actually does board in a Surgical Extraction. So it is interesting there that he decides to board in one card that can be card disadvantage. It is tempo against Snapcaster Mage. But yeah, I think Yuya's sideboard plan is slightly stronger in the mirror match.
Here we get a chance to look at the hand Reid Duke is going to be faced with. Keep. He snaps off keep there.
Go.
And Yu Watanabe chose to draw here. With Reid Duke up a game, it was Yu Watanabe's option, and he chose to put Reid on the draw, put him down a card. We talked about that idea of this is very much about, just really fighting out over cards and getting those slight advantages, and Yu took the free extra card here.
Yeah, and I know Seth Manfield is also a big proponent of being on the draw in certain matchups, and it is probably my view that not enough people are doing that.
Yeah, if Yuya's doing it, you should probably be considering it. Let's see, I'll ponder.
19. Yep.
And it's still on the stack. Reid cracking his Looted Delta, getting an Underground Sea.
Two Flusterstorms.
He's going to Flusterstorm that. That's kind of interesting because we didn't see him countering any kind of card selection spells in game one.
Flusterstorm, because of its conditional nature, sometimes you do want to just trade it for anything, since it doesn't counter some of the key cards in the matchup, so you don't want Yuya to set up or potentially find land drops that Yuya may be missing.
Cards Reid has to work with. Another Ponder from Yuya, another Flusterstorm from Reid.
I just thought that moment was pure magic. You get to see Reid's decision here, and like your opponent didn't make a land. What does that mean? Do they not have it? Do they have it? What are they trying to do? I thought that was. I would rewatch that moment later and try to figure out exactly, because I think you could delve 2-3 minutes into that easily.
18. Yep.
All right. Reid cracks the Bloodstained Mire, gets a Volcanic Island. Third land, and there is Liliana, the Last Hope. One red mana is not going to really offer any kind of answer here.
+1 and go.
How many ways does you have to get this off the board?
There is one card that cleanly kills it, and that's Dreadboard.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's something he needs to have brought in from his sideboard.
Yes, it is a sideboard card. Yuya will have brought it in, but there's only one copy, so you need it.
Your pairings have been posted.
All right, Yuya brainstorms here.
It's worth noting Reid would have noticed the basic mountain since it's a little unusual in Grixis control, so that probably would have alerted Reid that something might be up.
And then the swamp, also a little bit unusual here.
Go.
Reid is just sitting back and waiting to see if Liliana the Last Hope can ultimate. And then he's just going to ultimately win the game.
Yes, if Liliana hits 7, we're pretty much done. There's not much that you have to do. It's already hard enough to deal with the Planeswalker, let alone the endless army of zombies.
3.
Him to Torak. He's going to choose to brainstorm and maybe tuck those cards away on top of his deck and discard 2 others. But there's a Pyroblast.
17.
I think we'll see a Colligan's Command here in response.
2 damage to you and you discard. 17, 17. Yep.
Here you can see why Pyroblast can sometimes be a liability, because Him to Tarak is so important. It's still an important card in a matchup like this, but it can sometimes feel like it's stuck in your hand and won't do anything.
Countered, discard. Go.
We're up to 6. Tick-tock. Can you find a Dreadbore?
Okay.
There's a Baleful Strix. But not only is Reid going to get to tick up to 7, but he'll get to kill the Strix here.
Go.
Reid picked up
16.
Hydroblast. Incredibly important against the top deck Dreadbore. But Yuya would have a Pyroblast to come back, so if Yuya finishes a red source here. Ooh. Oh, this is okay. This is going to be really close. If Yuya top decks Dreadbore here. Oh.
He's just going to, again, we're seeing the Ambush Viper
Results.
mode of Snapcaster Mage. But Reid's going to just bolt it. Not let it tick down his Liliana. This is his game plan. Chase the
Results.
Mind Sculptor. Resolves. You hear Reid Duke.
Nice.
I guess a bolt would buy him a little bit of time here.
That was what Yuya was looking for, but Reid was ready with the Hydroblast, and
Wow.
yeah, this is it. Reid
Tends
has
to make 2 zombies. And after I get my zombies, it'll be your turn.
I think Reid's basically won this game off just the back of Liliana the Last Hope. He highlighted that it was the most important card of the matchup, and I think this match is a very good example of why.
Emblem as well.
Okay, you see the actual zombies. We see an emblem coming in. Reid Duke has a long history of playing 3-mana Lilianas to great success. checking to see if it's as bad as he thinks it is. It is.
Frank Karsten wrote an article on how the math looks, and I'll sum it up with it looks awful for the opponent.
Players in the 230 modern events, your carries for round 1 are equal to the flat category.
Very much in the tradition of Reid Duke, Yuya is going to fight on.
230 modern events, your carries for round 1 are the flat category.
What path could Yuya find here that would let him deal 17 points of damage to Reid before he falls to a shambling horde of zombies?
I honestly think we're done.
Okay.
I don't even think it's 0.1%. I think we technically, I guess, if you kill the zombies every single turn and then manage to put pressure, there might be a chance. But I just don't see that realistically happening.
14.
If Yuya wins this match, I'll be personally shocked, and it would be one of the greatest matches of Magic we've ever seen.
All right. Well, here is
Okay.
Baleful Strix, but there's Yuya's own Liliana. It minuses one of the zombies. Get the last two cards out of Yuya's hands with him to Tarak.
End step, 4 more.
Yeah, and you see how quickly this gets out of hand. You don't need to be Frank Karsten to do the math here.
Yeah, X+2. So yeah, if no zombie died here, you'd add 8, and yeah, you can figure out, I think, at home that Reid is going to get this one. It's too. Yuya cannot put pressure to a degree where Reid would lose on life totals, and even though Yuya has a much better traditional control board, the emblem is just not a fight you can win if you're behind to start with.
Yeah, and there's no rush for Reid here, right? Like, he can just attack the planeswalkers. He can just close out Yuya's paths to coming back if he wants to. But he's also really close to just getting 7 zombies through and killing Yuya. Yeah. Wow. Turn 3, Liliana, the last hope from Reid Duke. Yuya chose to put Reid on the play and was able to get that down before Yuya really had the resources to fight over it.
Do you think this match playable?
I would have thought play, but Jerry Thompson and his team also chose draw, so I don't know. It's nice to play Liliana on turn 3, and it's nice to thought seize before you can brainstorm, but the card matters too, so I don't know. Probably if we went to 3, I would draw only because you draw, but
You'd say, well, if we went to game 3, I think I want to play normally, but because you chose to draw, I probably would have chosen to draw. Wow.
I like that Reid has a lot of respect for Yuya, so he decides to basically, he's respecting Yuya's decision, so he would probably follow suit and believe that Yuya is correct in this approach, which I think is a great sign of respect from, well, they're both some world-class players.
Jerry Thompson, Reid Duke, Yuya Watanabe, different opinions all around about what to do in that situation, which I find fascinating. At the highest levels, the best players in the game playing this very complicated format with the oldest cards in the game, still not, in lockstep about what the absolute best thing to do is there. We've got more Magic coming up for you. Don't go anywhere. We've got a couple brief messages, and then we'll bring you more Round 5 action here at Grand Prix Richmond.